we had members of Congress complaining about this for 2 years. Did it just never reach you guys here at the White House that there was these complaints that conservative groups felt that they were being singled out and targeted at any point in time?
I mean, I'm not sure that I'm sure people were aware of and knew some of the stories that had been reported about the complaints, but we were not aware of any activity or of any review conducted by the Inspector General until several weeks ago.
More calls now for an independent investigation into the IRS and its admitted practice of targeting conservative groups seeking tax-exempt status. Today, new questions about just how limited this practice really was. For example, in August of 2010, President Obama's then chairman of the Council of Economic Advisors, Austin Goolsbee, revealed to reporters that a billion-dollar energy company, Koch Industries, which is opposed to much of President Obama's agenda, allegedly paid no income taxes. Since Koch is a private company, its tax records were not public. At first, the White House claimed that information had already been made public. Koch denied that. Then it claimed that Mr. Goolsbee was only speculating about Koch's tax data. The IRS promised to look into the matter, but a report was never made public. This week, an Inspector General report revealed that at this very same time, the IRS had an entire team of specialists devoted to targeting certain conservative organizations, raising new questions about trust in government. Joining me now, Ted Olson, the former Solicitor General of the United States under President Bush. Mr. Olson represents Koch Industries, and in February of 2012, he wrote an op-ed in the Wall Street Journal accusing President Obama of creating a, quote, enemies list. Mr. Olson, it's a pleasure to have you on. I just want to tell our viewers, many are familiar with you, some are not, but in addition to being voted one of the most 100 influential people in the world back in 2010 by Time magazine, you've argued 59 cases in the Supreme Court. You have a 75% success rate. You argued successfully Bush v. Gore before the U.S. Supreme Court, Citizens United, which has gotten a lot of press. You are someone who has actually served as an appointee of President Obama to the Council of Administrative Conferences of the United States. You have worked for Republican administrations, but you've also worked to push for the legalization of gay marriage. And you've worked with your counterpart on Bush v. Gore on that. So you are somebody who is not a pure partisan, although most of your work has been on the GOP side. And now you find yourself representing a company that employs tens of thousands of Americans that you say has been targeted by President Obama, and this business we've seen with the IRS going after conservatives does not come as a huge surprise to you. Tell us, sir.
Well, it's very, very disturbing. As you pointed out, I wrote that piece in February of last year, so this is 16 months ago. We were concerned with an orchestrated campaign starting at the very top of the White House to attack and disparage the Koch family and their enterprises. They employ 50,000 people in America. They've given millions of dollars to fights against cancer and other philanthropic entities. And they're conscientious citizens. They believe in citizen participation in government. They've spent a lot of money contributing to organizations that support free enterprise and limited government. Now, it's very disturbing that the auditor report that just came out 2 days ago showed that the IRS was targeting organizations that were concerned about limited government, the debt, and criticizing the size of government. It's not just conservatives, it's anybody who was someone that was questioning government. And in this country, it's fundamental to our Constitution, to our society, and to our government that we be able to criticize our government. For the government then to send its tax agencies after organizations or people that are critical of government is very, very scary.
The treatment that Koch Industries has gotten from this administration has been controversial. I mean, they were named repeatedly in Barack Obama's reelection campaign by Team Obama. They were demonized by Team Obama, the Koch brothers in particular, private citizens again. And then it was telegraphed in a letter by the campaign manager for Team Obama, Jim Messina, that the Koch brothers received that specifically said, and you tell me whether this was a harbinger of things to come, when you attempt to drown out the people's voices through unlimited secret contributions to pursue a special interest agenda that conflicts with what is best for our nation, you must expect some scrutiny of your actions.
Isn't that appalling? What was done by the Koch family and their contributions was permitted and explicitly approved by the First Amendment. They were participating in government by allowing themselves to express their views about government, what it should look like, and enabling other people to support free enterprise and limited government. That is what it is all about. If you are targeted by a very powerful government, if you are named and as critical by the White House and top officials in government, those agencies of government are going to go after you. It is like Henry II said, "Who will rid me of this meddlesome priest?" which resulted in the murder of Thomas Becket. It is very damaging for people that are given a great authority in our government to select private citizens for castigation like that. It has consequences, and now we're seeing those consequences.
Do you believe, because in your op-ed, as you point out, you suggest that this campaign against certain conservatives, including the Koch brothers, you write, has been choreographed from the very top. Now, the IRS and the administration want us to believe that the current scandal was born out of the Cincinnati Determinations Unit. They examined the applications for tax-exempt status, that it was really this group of people, some Washington involvement, but that's it. It doesn't touch the White House, and the White House isn't responsible for this behavior.
Now, as you pointed out in that clip that you played, there were complaints about this that was ongoing for the last couple of years, that the IRS was targeting conservative organizations. The White House said it didn't know anything about it, but what did it ask? Why did it not try to find out? Why did not the president himself say, wait a minute, he said just this week it's outrageous, but those reports were out there, and someone needs to ask the president and others in the White House, why didn't you look into it? If you did. If you didn't look into it, why didn't you look into it? Because you knew from reports that citizens of this country were being attacked and targeted by the Internal Revenue Service. Why wasn't something done? Now, there's an acting head of the Internal Revenue Service that was fired yesterday. Why didn't that happen long ago if that individual was not taking responsibility for these reports? There's something very wrong here, and we don't know the answer to it, but we do know that citizens knew this was happening. That editorial, that op-ed that I wrote was 16 months ago. No one in our government did anything about it to protect the citizens of this country from their own government. That is very scary and very damaging.
In that op-ed, you wrote about how we have a system of separated powers and checks and balances precisely in order to inhibit the exercise of tyrannical power by government officials. How big do you think this is?
Well, it is huge. We have this country because we had a revolution against exactly that type of tyrannical conduct. The framers of our Constitution used the exact words that I was quoting in that op-ed piece to protect our citizens, to protect our liberty, and protect our freedom from exercise of tyrannical power by government. That's why we have the Constitution that we have. So you give immense power to people in authority, but you expect them to exercise it with restraint and responsibility and according to the rule of law. That obviously did not happen here. It was an out-of-control government. There was no management, no control, and we've seen it in various different connections this week, but it's been happening for years now, and people have been complaining about it, and nothing was done about it. So, you know, the slogan is the fish rots from the head. You have to look at the top of government when the subordinates of the White House, the subordinates of the president, are acting in an uncontrolled way to damage the rights of individual citizens. We have to hold the very top of this government responsible for that.
Ted Olson, honor to speak with you, sir. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.